Welcome back for our final segment of this edition of Chamber Exchange, a TV show. I want to thank again our sponsors to help make it happen. Bank Hometown and the Worcester Railers Hockey Club. Thrilled to have with us in this segment Brian Hogley, who is the managing partner of SideChannel. Brian, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
And you know, we probably couldn't have a more timely conversation given your business. So SideChannel, you know, maybe you could tell us about your business because it's top of mind for individuals, for businesses of all different sizes.
It is. It's an ongoing issue that everyone needs to probably start getting their hands wrapped around. Our focus has been firmly on the mid-market. You know, we recognize
the issue. Just so I set this up right, is cybersecurity.
Yes. So cyber risk, privacy risk, risk management. It's happening and impacting people from an individual, your parents, my parents, grandparents, to large-scale organizations. And what we've figured out as a niche is the mid-market company does not have a great access to expertise in this area. Most vendors are targeting the Fortune 2000, and the reality is there's only 2,000 companies in the Fortune 2000. The rest of America, and specifically the New England, has a tremendous amount of mid-market and small businesses. And what I've found throughout my career in this is that they are a very underserved area. And those companies just traditionally can't afford someone full-time like myself or people on my staff to come in and work for them. Plus, there's not necessarily enough work to be done. So my approach was fractionalizing what's known as the Chief Information Security Officer, usually the person who is the head of information security, physical security, risk management, whatever, at a larger organization, taking that expertise and delivering that into the mid-market. So now that these size organizations, and mid-market can be anywhere between $10 million in revenue to $2 billion in revenue. It's really kind of expanded. So our focus is really going in, taking that leadership role and helping these organizations understand what their actual cyber risks are, and then building out the programs to address it that are cost effective and reasonable, again, for the mid-market.
And so, Brian, you used the word expertise, and let's kind of, when you're talking about a complicated issue like cybersecurity with technology rapidly changing, from sometimes weeks or months at a time, expertise is important. And your background, I think, is relevant to this conversation. You've worked in the federal government.
Yes. Yeah, so, started actually at a young age, was recruited, went into the U.S. military, served time there, and then did about 10 years in D.C. across a number of different intelligence community and DoD agencies working on building their cybersecurity programs. My capstone role was leading an information assurance, that's what the U.S. government calls cybersecurity, program for the U.S. Pentagon until the Hanover Insurance Group here in Worcester, which brought my family and I up here, hired me, and I became their first real Chief Information Security Officer. Built out that program until 2019 when I launched SideChannel as a full-time operation. Expertise is really the key piece. It's, when you need legal advice, do you talk to somebody who understands legal, or do you talk to somebody who's a lawyer? And it's the same type of thinking I'm trying to bring into the mid-market and to our clients, is reach out to somebody who's actually done that job, not somebody who's maybe just studied it, or there are levels of degree of understanding in this space, and it pays to have somebody who really has done the job and sat in that seat to do it for you.
And there's a cost if you are not being proactive here.
Sure.
I mean, we hear these stories about ransomware and stealing client information, and these things can be devastating for companies in terms of risks, financial risks, customer goodwill. There's a whole host of things that are not good here.
There are a lot of things that our clients and folks that I talk to, they worry about. Their brand or their reputation gets damaged. Their operational aspects of their company, manufacturing, things like that can stop. I mean, if you impact a manufacturing line and you can no longer produce the widgets or the components, what are you doing? You have to shut down the factory for the day. And then obviously just data loss, money loss, employee loss because you've lost data. I mean, I've seen people who have left jobs because the company didn't protect their employee data. So there's a slew of reasons. And then there's obviously regulatory reasons. Maybe there's a regulation or some type of standard that you have to follow that you need to avoid fines and whatever. Whatever the reasons are, you need to latch onto that reason and make sure that you can address it. But I do say this, I don't ever sell cybersecurity to anybody. You either understand that it's a risk or you don't. I never go into a company and make them, hey, you have to understand that this is an actual risk you have to address, and then you need to use me. You either understand that you have to do something about it, and if you do, I'll work with you. We want to work with you. But if you don't recognize cyber as an operational risk to your enterprise, you will eventually when something goes boom in the night, right?
Right. And that's, the other scary thing about this. I mean, literally there are criminal enterprises, and that's what they are. They're criminal. They're not some hacker who's just fooling around. I mean, these are criminal enterprises that look to probe businesses of all different sizes and scopes, local government, state government. I mean, they're out there, trying to kind of figure ways to disrupt or steal that information, to sell it or to hold the company up. I mean,
there's an ROI for all this. There's a return on the investment for criminals. The days of thinking that it's just some kid in his mom's basement doing this to you are over. And unfortunately, a lot of organizations still think that way. And quite honestly, you're underestimating your enemy. What you need to realize is you are now in business to protect your business against someone else who wants to take some aspect of your business. And these are well-funded, well-organized criminal groups. Some of them are state-sponsored, some of them are state-backed, some that maybe work somewhere in the Eastern Bloc of Europe are just kind of allowed to operate so long as they maybe give a kickback to whoever's giving them some type of cover. But the reality is these groups have HR. These folks go on holiday, they have payroll, they have health insurance. They are businesses, and their business is to try to impact yours. And when you look at okay, so I agree that, they are a problem, but maybe I'm not a target. Well, you are a supplier or a vendor to a much larger organization more often than not. And that's where the mid-market really falls into. You might not be the target, but who you are supplying to is the target. And there's a lot of organizations, attackers and such, they will take the path of least resistance. It costs them less to go through a smaller vendor to get to a larger contractor or a larger organization than it does to try to break through the front door, because those larger organizations have the resources to protect themselves at the level that they should. But the vendor and the supply chain attack, it's very real. So if not to protect yourself for your own, but also to protect your revenue line with a company that you have as a valued customer.
Well, Brian, timely subject, risk assessments, cybersecurity compliance, risk management, training and awareness, team building, staffing. You can do all those things if, just in the moments we have left, how can someone get in touch with you to say, hey, let's talk?
Well, so first, really excited that we are setting up our headquarters, 146 Main Street. It's the Armsby building downtown Worcester. We've moved our headquarters there. That will now be our new global operations because we have focus across all of US, Canada, and the UK. I'm very excited that Worcester is now our headquarters. But you can obviously reach us at SideChannel.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well, Brian Hoagley, as well as just stopping by the new office or reaching out online. It's honestly, it's near impossible to not be able to reach out to us in this digital age.
And just to prove we've got a subject matter expert, Brian has also written a book here, Cybersecurity Risk Management, which is Wiley, which works with colleges across the country in the classroom as well. So, Brian, thanks for being with us, and look forward to working with you at the Chamber.
Thank you so much.
Good. And thank you for being with us on this edition of Chamber Exchange, the TV show, and thank our sponsors, Bank Hometown and the Worcester Railers Hockey Club.